Welcome, everyone. I think this morning's Tech Talk, we're just looking at some rather concerning photos, installations that we've received over the last couple of days. Certainly not the norm with regards to the standard of work that we're seeing, but every now and again, these things pop up and they do sort of create a little bit of discontent as all the plumbers are basically put in the same box. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over. Just morning. Adrian, you want to say good morning?
Hi, morning, guys.
Lorraine?
Good morning, everyone.
And Mahen?
Good morning, guys and girls.
And girls. Yeah, that's right, Mahen. Don't forget.
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
right. So, Lorraine, you want to kick us off?
Thank you, Steve. Morning, everybody. Lorraine Moy, for those who don't know me, I'm a compliance auditor and the CPD manager at PIRB. As compliance auditors, in the last, I have to say, in the last couple of months, there's been a worrying trend. The level of non-compliance in installations done by licensed plumbers has, it's skyrocketed. It's to the point where the videos, the pictures you're going to see of audits in the last week alone. This is not audits from a month ago or 2 months ago, even a year ago, because a year ago, the standard was much better than it is right now. And it's quite disconcerting, to us as a fraternity, because we get all put in the same pot, because the plumber. So we all the plumber. And all these installations are by licensed plumbers. And that is the concern, that's the disconcerting part of all of this. So we're going to work you through a couple of the pictures, and then at the end, we're going to show you a video of the consequences of non-compliance that's happened in the last month. Mahen, if you could take over here.
Thank you, Lorraine. I'm still trying to figure out what's right in this installation.
I think we all are.
I've been looking at it for a while now, and I'm trying to figure out what can I say that's right here, apart from maybe the walls in the wrong place. But guys, this is, as we said, an installation done the last week or so, and an audit being carried out. And yeah, the level of the level of the installation itself, or where it's installed. I mean, as you can see there's a shower hose just below that geyser. I mean, the drain cock.
Don't say it.
Don't
Say it.
say
Don't
No,
say
don't
it.
say
Okay,
it.
that drain cock was supposed to be a drain cock, but to me it seems like it's more like a stuffed cock there in the corner. How do we drain this geyser, guys? I mean, electrical is above that. The TP valve cannot be removed. How is the element going to be changed? I don't even, I think the vacuum breakers are there, not even 300 or 700 away. The geyser itself is upside down, and I think the next photo is where we see that 100L sign upside down. I mean, given that the plumber may have had a tough spot to work in, but upside down, and this is an audit, and I'm gringing here at the moment, so sorry. I'm
Take
being
a
an
deep
auditor
breath.
myself.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
I pity the auditor who went out there to actually do this inspection, because if it was me, I would have maybe asked him to get the geyser out of that shower immediately.
Yeah, but I think what'll happen is the complaint will come back that the auditor was standing on the head when they took that
Yeah,
photo.
that's what it looks like. I mean, it looks like he was on his head. But then at least the shower hose helps us to defend the
Yeah,
auditor.
it does.
That's the only thing we have in his defense there, and that little rail for the shower. Guys, as you can see, that drain cock there. I mean, how is anyone going to drain that geyser out? I mean, yeah, it's just horrendous. I don't have words. And
No.
this is not even an installation that we inspect. It's an audit. A compliance certificate was issued for this installation, and having failed, I mean, having to explain to the client that we now have to go and rectify this installation is, I mean, what's the client going to think? And having possibly received a compliance certificate, and we're going to tell him that this installation is non-compliant. I mean, what's his view going to be on the plumbing fraternity and our level of training, or what is our knowledge of the plumbers who are coming out to do his work? And the chances are this is an insurance company job, possibly. And imagine the insurance company seeing this and wondering, these are guys we employ to do our work. Sorry, I just have no more. I'm stumped.
I think I'd just like to add on to that. I mean, if you look at that, that might have been in an outbuilding in the back of someone's property, and you'd be able to move the thing. But sometimes you run into these installations, and there might be 20 or 30 units, and they were all done in the same way. So it's just overwhelming. We now need to change everything, and it becomes a problem because it's a fight. It's money involved. There's time involved. It's a dangerous situation. But Like Steve said in the beginning, we're probably practicing or we're preaching to the converted here, but this is what's happening. And unfortunately, whether you do compliant work or not, when someone mentions a plumber and these images come up, then this is exactly this is the brush that we all get tarred with. So it's just wrong on so many levels.
I think also, Adrian, in terms of this one, the non-compliance notice had 2 items. I think it was no R1 lagging and there was no isolator. You know, so those were the items of non-compliance that were noted on the certificate of compliance. And I think it's correct in saying that it really is a horrendous installation. Lorraine.
The thing is this, like Adrian and everybody else is saying, is that we all get painted with the same brush. These are licensed plumbers that are issuing, certificates of compliance, stating those 2, the go-to ones, no R1, no isolator. And the quality of work is just deteriorating, guys. And we want to understand what's happening in the industry. Because I get a lot of, the CPD department gets asked all the time, and IOPSA, why are you guys hopping on the same things over and over? And the answer is because of installations like this, like the one that we're going to now. Yeah. Adrian, you have to take this one.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, so sorry. It's wrong on so many levels. There was absolutely no planning done on this drainage. It's above ground or below ground material used above ground. It's an open end in a duct. I mean, that venting, there's no need to take that vent to the roof. It'll vent in the duct. There's hardly proper access. You'll probably find that when the job was started, they started off with the pipes in the concrete or the pipes in the floor, and by the time they got to the outside, they actually needed like a manifold or something engineered to accommodate all those connections. But it's scary, and I mean it's if you understand the basics of the material that you're working with, you'll find that the material that used for underground drainage was never intended to have hot water running through it. That's why you have it covered in sand, or you have a cold surrounding that pipe. It's not soil and vent material. It's just wrong. I mean, it's yeah.
Well, at least you use IE bends on most of them.
Yeah, you see, if you can get back into the building, it's not a problem. And if it's a connection into the system, you'd like to know which one's running or not running. The problem is this is what you see on the outside. If this is visible, there could possibly on those 50 mil, there could be a shower and a basin. It just becomes very, very complicated. So that's
on this one here, Adrian. Now we see what happens in terms of the consequences. So let's look at this. In terms of give us an explanation of where we are here. Now we've got black mold.
Yeah, and the thing is that you start looking from all over, or you look at all these different angles and chop walls down, and it's this investigation and another report, and we all know plumbers love writing reports. So you look at this job, and someone's now going to pay to have a job inspected or checked that should have been done by the guy signing that job off. While we're talking, can I just ask a favor, because we do get these printouts for the guys in the room? Would you mind, instead, you can still ask your questions. Would you mind just typing in that little chat box there? Give a possible explanation, or give something that you guys in the room might think the reasoning behind the decrease in quality. Just if it's pricing, if it's quality of I don't want to say quality of licensed plumbers, because a licensed plumber is supposed to be, like at this stage, supposed to be the top of the pops. So if you do have any suggestions on why, or something that we can look at or might look at to get better results, or to have improved work. I mean, oh, okay, someone else can have it. That's just like scary. So yeah, it happens. Personally, I think it's always been there. It's always been part and parcel of the system. It's always been part and parcel of how jobs were done. I think the fact that it's being audited at the moment just highlights it even more. And the fact that we now have a system where someone actually goes and checks up on the work being done. And you might find that if you're a very busy contractor, desktop analysis, guys bring you a little picture from one angle, you don't see the other side of the geyser. If that picture was taken from the left, that licensed plumber wouldn't have seen that 90 compression fitting on the other side. There might be a myriad of reasons why this is happening, But feel free to just add in that comment or that questions tab there so you can see what's happening.
I think also, Ariane, in the defense of the guys, I think what we've seen is with a lot of these is that a desktop analysis has been done, by photo has been provided by the installer. And obviously, in some cases, the licensed plumber not actually checking them, signing the COC, or getting, the best sort of angle, which, doesn't do justice to the job. So 100%.
But looking at this picture here, I mean, we normally go to audits and the non-compliances are mostly because of what the insurance companies are paying for or how much of money. Clearly, this one was not a money issue or a cost issue, considering that a conic straight coupler, a compression coupler, and a elbow is used. And I mean, if you look at the vacuum breaker, there's enough space to have lowered that pipe down to have even been able to put the vacuum breaker correctly, or enough space to have moved it 700 away. Cost shouldn't be an issue because of the type of footings that's being used there is not almost one of the most expensive footings you will ever get to use. So cost not being a factor, this should have been a spot-on installation.
And bearing in mind, we keep telling the guys that if this was a new build, that would have been a problem with the duct sizing or the positioning of the geyser, or there's no place to take the TP valve or the say tray overflow outside, or these things would have been picked up from the word go, or it would have been picked up at design stage and mentioned and listed, and you would have notified everybody involved. You don't do the job and then say, well, look, this is what the plan said, or this is what the architect had in mind, where he's hiding everything in there. So there are ways and means of getting out of this. I know it sounds easy. The first argument you always get from licensed plumbers, he needs to earn a living. And if he doesn't do it, the next guy is going to do it. But if we all adopt that attitude, it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
As much as, as Steve was saying, there's your desktop analysis and all of that, but also it comes down to the fact that it means that the licensed plumbers themselves are not transferring the skill to their teams, because your team reflects you as the licensed plumber.
100%.
So if you are not transferring the skill that whatever you're learning on the tech talks or whatever it is, if you're not, filtering that down to your guys, then this whole exercise is futile, because the knowledge is only sitting with you, but at the same time you have all this knowledge and you get these pictures. You should be saying, I want a picture from every single angle. You guys need to be doing things in a certain way. I understand costs and time and all of that, but time is school fees are school fees. I mean, if this happens, that the consequence of that somebody's house blows up, then that all that time that you thought you were saving will have been futile. I think the end of the day is that the licensed plumber needs to filter down what they know to their teams.
I agreed. That transfer of knowledge is key in terms of where we are. I mean, let's have a look at this one. I mean, I don't even know what the hell we can say here.
It seems like we're having a consistency of upside down geyser installations.
Yeah, and I think this is this is one that comes up very often. Man, we see it. Where the guys are looking at it and just transferring it from the floor to a wall, and they're just seeing that. And let's be real. I mean, there's a tag on that geyser that tells you exactly for what it is, or you can rotate the brackets. But to me, it just becomes I don't even know how to even go through that one.
I've had this discussion on a number of times, and I tell you the biggest issue with this lot is that as a licensed plumber or as a decent plumber, you look at this thing and you laugh. The big issue with this lot is that SANS 151 actually tells you what the geyser should look like. The safety valve should be in the top 100 or 150 mil to pick up the heat. The moment you rotate that geyser around, you change the position of the safety valve, you change the dynamics of that whole, like that first one with the drain cock on the top. So yes, we need to replace the element, no problem. We'll slam a screwdriver from the bottom with a hammer just to get a hole and get the water out. There's a reason why these things were put in place and put in a specific position. So yeah, it's a bit worrying.
But then you've also got to ask the question, if a desktop analysis was done on that installation, and the certificate when it was submitted, I mean,
or even just
did the Labrador look at it, and say it was okay? Because clearly a blind man could see that installation is. Man, on this one, again, a common problem, Adrian, Lorraine, that we find
constantly.
all too
I mean,
often.
that valve there, I mean, the PIRB that's used there clearly allows for that pressure control, also that relief valve to be able to be removed and fitted after that repositioned. This one's got no excuse for it not to have been moved.
I've had several of these, and the gentleman then asked me, where does it say? that you cannot have an isolating valve between the PRV and the the Geyser. I was like, in the SANS codes, you
Yeah.
need to look it up.
But
And
I think the challenge comes from that, and I think, you know, and again, in defense of the plumbers, is that, you know, we have had some of the manufacturers state that, don't worry, you know, the warranty will still be in place, you know, and we'll honor that warranty. But I think that, you know, as everybody out there understands, it's for the compliance auditor has to audit according to the standards, you know, and not, you know, what is said by other parties.
Yeah, and I think we've been making it very clear to say that there's no manufacturer, whether he's manufacturing pipes, fittings, geysers, taps, there's no manufacturer's requirements or specifications that can overrule a national standard. So firstly, they need to comply with the standards, and whatever add-on or whatever extra over they want added on, that would be acceptable, or that would be for that plumber to comply with, but you cannot overrule a standard by a manufacturer's installation.
Also, I think we have some manufacturers that will say that it's fine and they'll accept it, and then it's taken as the norm that all manufacturers will accept it, which is not the case, because we know there are manufacturers out there. This one, Mahen, you want to? This is my pet hate.
This is your pet, yeah. This is
my
that
pet
very
hate.
nice TP valve outlet that's just above anyone's head, I think. Or I'd like to know what's underneath that geyser. There's not another picture, but imagine if there's a wash trough underneath there or a kids' play area, and I mean that valve could have easily been diverted to the wall 145 bend and being made safe.
And I think this comes across my hand as I see it often. And we must remember that rotates 360 degrees.
Yes.
So, you know, I've gone to some audits where the plumbers actually show me a picture of how it was when he left. And then when we've got there, it's in a totally different position because somebody's decided to move it. So in terms of that, you know, as Lorraine says, you know, towards the wall, 45 brackets, everything else safe.
It's the same. I mean, I think that TP valve pipe must be blocked right against the wall.
Yeah,
there.
it's right up against
against the wall. It's not going to even operate. And if it even does, because it can rotate 360 degrees, if that little pressure that's going to be exerted, it's going to spin it to the opposite direction or the other way, and still going to be cause damage. Again and again. But guys, we're sitting and looking at photos, and I'm sure most of you guys there are also having a good laugh at what we're seeing on the screen there. But if the licensed plumber, or the plumber who installed a geyser did not issue that compliance certificate, and if somebody who had to look at these photos and then issue the compliance certificate, I mean, it's so obvious that it's not compliant. I mean, how would we just then still issue the compliance certificate? Because all of us here are looking at these photos and saying, oh my God, what the hell is that? But did the plumber who actually issued that compliance certificate not see these, or was it just being done blindly and just assuming that the guys are just doing everything like it should be? So talking about the desktop analysis, I think maybe the plumber should, or the licensed plumber should start taking a little bit more effort into looking at what the plumbers are doing in order to lessen his risk. I mean, if a warranty is void, in most cases, you're going to have to go back and replace that geyser at your own cost. And for a few minutes of not actually looking at the pictures, you're looking at thousands of rands of cost, because now warranty won't pay and insurance won't pay, and the client wants his geyser, and it leaves us back to the plumber again.
So, but I think also, Mahen, what happens here is what concerns me is when the guys are notified of an audit. I mean, surely you go and just make sure or have a look at it and just check and make sure that installation before you get there. I mean, on these ones, clearly that doesn't happen.
So this slide is a video of a geyser that exploded.
Dit is na die water toe is. Geyser het ontplof. Die stukke van die geyser wat oor is. Die muurstukke onder. I'm just taking a video. Goodness gracious. Trust, you can't believe a geezer can do this. It's a bomb, my man.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah.
May I be the first one to congratulate that guy for the use of his language. Goodness gracious would have been the last thing that comes to mind.
Was he a plumber? And even he knows it's a bomb.
Now look here, guys. Sorry, we're sounding like doom prophets, and it's
Yeah.
all like doom and gloom, and it, like I said when we started off, you'll probably find that we're preaching to the converted, the guys, and some of you might have enjoyed the chuckle here and there. I think the main point we're trying to get across here is that it is not your work, might not be your guys' work, your company's work, but when people see these pictures and you approach government departments and saying, look here, we need to have our trade protected, we need X, Y, and Z, we need the standards changed to accommodate what we're trying to achieve, and people bring out these pictures and these examples of what's being done by the so-called professionals at the moment, it just weakens our case. It makes life difficult. And like I said, we all now get judged by what, let's call it a very, very small percentage are doing at the moment. But in absence of, what do they call it, adequate control from the licensed plumber who sends these guys out to work on these geysers, we're never going to get past this obstacle. We need to be like more alert, more aware, more involved. I think that's the biggest thing with the plumber.
100%.
Be involved with your guys. Like Lorraine said, if you're not telling your guys, you're not training them, or you're not having them in the room with you at the moment, because I've seen pictures with the guys. I mean, that's why we have it at 7 in the morning. I've seen guys have their staff in the same, in their workshop with a laptop, and you've got 15 or 20 guys going on there. So, guys, like I said, it's not all doom and gloom. We have improved vastly. It's down to getting the last couple of scabangers out of the system.
Lorraine?
I think for me, it's just it's a transfer of skills. Obviously, those are all valid points that were made, but I think also that as licensed plumbers, we need to take responsibility and make sure that we transfer the skill that we have to our teams.
Mahen?
A very valid point there, Adrian. And I think, speaking for myself, we are here for you guys if you are unable to understand how to issue those non-compliances or how to do a proper desktop analysis. And for the plumbers out there that are issuing COCs on the chain system, I think it's time to stop, because the expense to you to refix is going to be huge.
No, wonderful. I think to Adrian, Lorraine, and Mahen, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I think it's a auspicious occasion in terms of having all 4 of us here in the one room. Certainly not going to pass this one up again. I think we'll have to try it again. But to everybody out there, to all in attendance, ladies and gents, thank you very much to Ruben for being our bus driver and getting us going. Apologies for going over a couple of minutes, but I think it was quite a pertinent and topic of discussion this morning, that actually shows that we still can improve. So thank you very much, and take care and have a great day.